Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of That Tom Clancy Show. I am, of course, your wonderful, wonderful host, Mr. That Tom Clancy. So, hey, Fictional Cat, good to see you. Of course, you're the first person here. Why am I not surprised? It's good to have you, though. Unfortunately, though, there is a bit of bad news. Last night, former Mythbuster Grant Imahara passed away suddenly. I did not know Grant, though I kind of wish that I did. He was a huge inspiration for generations of nerds and roboticists and prop makers, and he will be missed. It's the plain simple truth of it. So my heart goes out to his family, his friends, and all of the loved ones he has sadly left behind. So thank you, Grant. Man, yeah, that was kind of a downer note, but on the positive side, we are going to be talking a very pretty game today, and all that. And you need a plant next to the chair. Why do I need a plant next to the chair? Like what? Like right here? I mean, okay, Oh yeah, don't forget we need names for the duck. Still, there have been some good ones that have come in, but we still need names for the duck. And I'll consider the plant Fictional Cat. But my guest today is the winner of the most viral game award from last month's Pitch a Game Awards. Don't worry, he's not contagious. Yeah, I'm disappointed with myself for that joke too. Bits and Pixels, Rob Madden. Great. There we go. Hi, Rob. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. Wow, Fictional Cat, you'll model it for me too? Okay, we'll talk after the show. Sorry, but Fictional Cat says I need a plant for my set. So
Yeah, I think that'd be nice, right? Like between two ferns, you could put one either side.
well, then I'd have to borrow more of his shtick, which I'm borrowing enough people's stuff as is,
Yeah, sure.
and trying to create something of my own. But yeah, so welcome to the show, Rob.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. If anybody needs subtitles, go spend some time in Scotland. His accent is certainly not one of the thickest I've ever heard.
Yeah. Hopefully not. Hopefully people can understand it.
Did you see that SNL sketch with James Mcavoy from a couple years ago, where
No.
he played a Glaswegian air traffic controller?
Right.
And the sketch was that the pilot passed out in like a Kardashian private jet, and he was trying to talk them through landing the plane.
Yeah, right.
And
it's just the thickest Glaswegian accent you can imagine.
Oh yeah, and it was McAvoy too, so that it wasn't like some crummy American being all like, "Oh, I gotta get to the thing."
Yeah, that was pretty genuine. Yeah. No, I'll need to check that out. I've not seen that.
No, I'll find it and I'll shoot you the link after the show because it's gold. But yeah, so Scotland jokes aside, you are working on a little game known as Cloud Jumper.
Indeed, yeah.
We mentioned earlier that you got the most viral award from Pitch a Game last month, which I don't know if you noticed, but a certain kind of good-looking robot guy may have been doing those awards.
I did see that actually. Yeah, I did.
That was a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie.
It was, yeah. It was good. Yeah, it was good fun.
And I mean, your game was one of those ones that really stood out on that first day because you have a very distinct look. And yeah. I asked you about this, but I'll be honest, I didn't fully understand the answer to the question or the answer to the question, but it is something that I'm sure a lot of people are wondering. And how did you achieve, so I can switch over to a screenshot of just the ship in the sky. How did you achieve this kind of pixelated, kind of low poly look?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's a bunch of different elements. So one of the biggest things really is massive shouts out to a guy called Adam Robinson Yu. who made a game called A Short Hike, which is a great little game if anyone gets a chance to play it. It's brilliant. Very, really chill. It's a game about climbing a mountain, and you're this little bird, and you fly around. But at GDC, he explained a little about how he achieved a similar effect, and it was a technique that he found elsewhere. And essentially, it's really simple, but it's great the way that it works. Is that you essentially have your normal game camera, and whatever that camera sees, you then render to a render texture, which is essentially just a quad off in space that displays the game onto it. And then you just downsize the sample of that quad to whatever resolution it's rendering to. You just render it low res, and then you have a second camera that looks at that quad, and that's what actually gets outputted to the screen. So it kind of goes through this weird sort of kind of intentional downsampling when it gets pushed over. That kind of gets combined up with a bunch of different things. So like I have a ramp shader that creates that sort of cell shaded look, the kind of banded color that you see, which I think really helps because it flattens everything down, and like all of the models, there's no real texture work on the models. Like every model is using a single kind of texture sheet that just has a bunch of little square colors, and I just like take all the model UVs and I just crunch them into little colors, right? So everything's very flat purposefully so when you combine it with that kind of low resolution render texture, it creates this really kind of crunchy lo-fi kind of feel, and I think it's got this sort of kind of nostalgic flavor to it as well. I think it sort of reminds me of kind of like old like PSX games or N64 games or something like that. It's got that kind of crunchy feel to it. So
yeah,
that's kind of it.
That's neat. I use render targets for the show actually. What everybody is seeing right now is a render target.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're super helpful, man. They're really cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially because otherwise they'd all be watching it from like my perspective, and that would just be crummy. Especially because I kind of use so I have this new close-up camera angle for guests, which I use a lot, like when I say have an itch,
right?
Because then you guys can't see when I'm all like scratching at something,
scratching yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's embarrassing, nobody wants to see that. That's why I'm all like, hey, new camera angle. So the game itself is actually 3D, correct?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's 3D. But the camera has quite a low field of view as well. Like it's I think it's around 30, maybe just slightly lower. I think maybe 25-ish.
Wow.
So it flattens it a little bit, right? So it creates almost that kind of 2D-ish sort of feel. Everything kind of gets squished together a little bit. But then when you add depth of field to that as well, then everything gets pushed away. So it's this cool contrast of kind of like a low field of view, but then a big depth of field. And it's sort of got a nice feel to it, nice sort of sense of kind of space.
Yeah, it kind of almost pulls off like a little bit of I don't know if you're familiar with like tilt shift lenses and cameras, where it kind of gives they're these super amazing lenses that I forget exactly how they work, but they work from higher fields of view. They look they have a tendency of making things look miniature. So
okay.
Yeah. So you may have seen them used in photos and videos. So like you'll see a lot of the higher end production YouTubers will get a cityscape from some high building using one of these tilt shift lenses to give it the effect of like, whoa, are they just at some fancy miniatures museum?
Yeah, no, I've seen them. They're cool. Yeah, and people look like little plastic miniatures and stuff. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. They're very cool. Yeah.
It's one of those lenses that I would love to own for one of my cameras, but I have absolutely no actual need for it.
Okay. It'd be fun to just take pictures of things though, just to see what it comes out like.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it'd be, but is it a couple $1,000 worth of fun?
Yeah.
I don't know. So
maybe, gotta use it a few times to get your money.
Yeah, it's not like a couple $1,000 worth of computer fun, which is absolutely worth it.
It's a nice new video card, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's a tight video card. Fictional Cat says that the art design looks great.
Thanks very much, man. Cheers.
Yeah. I trust him because he takes good cat pictures.
Well, that's a good qualification as any.
I mean, yeah, if you can get a good cat picture, you are clearly a top tier photographer. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
good animal
that's
picture generally is.
yeah. I mean,
I
that's
would, if
only.
I have a dog, try to get a picture of him is
Oh
impossible.
God, the hardest though, in my experience, is ferrets.
Oh yeah, I never had one. I don't know. That'd be
Uh,
pretty wild.
we have several, and unless they are sleeping, they're never still.
Yeah, yeah,
And they definitely have that sixth sense for when somebody's looking at them, and it's
yeah,
just like, I just want a cute picture of you, you know. And it's just, you need like a legit like DSLR or mirrorless camera to pull off a good one.
yeah.
So
What do you even feed a ferret? What do they eat?
they are obligate carnivores.
Oh, okay.
So you feed them they like raw eggs for one. Like, I mean, we
Oh,
don't just feed them raw eggs, but they like them like as a treat. But otherwise, it's their food is actually higher in protein than dog or cat food, because
no.
dogs and cats can technically be omnivorous, so they can handle plant material in okayish fashion, but ferrets can't at all. And
Oh,
actually, as my wife explains it to me, she is the ferret expert of the family. I'm just like the not quite enthusiast, but I like them a lot.
okay. Yeah.
Um, you can't even feed ferret food to like a dog. Its protein content is so high that it's potentially bad for them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I'm like, but dogs are carnivores.
Yeah, yeah. And ferrets are tiny.
Yeah, they are. I mean, dude, they're not even just tiny. Like, I mean, they are. I mean, our the smallest ferret we have barely weighs in at a kilogram.
Wow. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
low.
it's just like about like yay long, including the tail. Just,
Mm.
you know, they're pure unbridled chaos given form, and they're thieving little
Yeah.
bastards.
Yeah, right. Steal anything shiny.
It doesn't even have to be shiny. It's quite literally, if it's not bolted down, they will try to steal it.
Oh, they sound like fun. I should maybe get myself some.
They are very fun, and if you get some, especially out there in the UK, you can get some responsibly bred ones that are, like aren't like American ferrets, which it's like America. We try and make everything as fast as possible, but in doing so, we tend to make it be a little bit worse. Uh,
Yeah, maybe.
so, but yeah, if you got the hookup though on some of those like UK ferrets, though, you let me know.
Yeah, I don't know a guy, but I'm sure I could find someone.
Yeah.
I'll
He might know a guy, guys.
yeah,
So, you know, we've talked about the kind of hook for Cloud Jumper, which is the look, uh,
Mhm,
which is very clearly why you won the most viral award. But what is your core game loop? What
mhm.
what is the player going to be doing while they're running their airship through the clouds?
Yeah, yeah, it's a great question. So the kind of the core loop is about moving resources from one island to another, basically. So the kind of the premise is that there's this sky community that has been kind of devastated by this hurricane that's passed through, right? And it's kind of torn everything up, and it's destroyed docks, and it's broken infrastructure, and it's kind of just ruined everything, right? And so the player is there to kind of help rebuild things and get everything back on track. And so slowly but surely, you kind of explore the sky and you pull resources from one island to another. You use those resources, combine them together to craft new resources, and you use those things to kind of repair things or build new structures or yeah, just kind of create a bit more structure into the world. So it kind of pulls a little bit from kind of like really simple crafting games, a little bit of kind of like resource chains that you might see in like a city builder. So one thing that you might be doing, for example, is that you might need to repair a dock, and to repair a dock, you need planks, wooden planks. But that's not something that you can just get your hands on. You need to build them. So you need to go to a wood island that regularly creates wood, and you take the wood from that island, you ship that to a production island that can then transform that wood into planks, and then you take those planks to the island that you want to repair, right? And you leave that stuff there. And then that's a very simple recipe, but as the game progresses, those recipes could get more and more complicated, where there's several tiers worth of interconnected, ingredients that need to be kind of crafted and merged to get all the way up to this quite rare resource that you then take somewhere and complete a quest with. So that's the kind of the basic premise, right?
So it's a little like kind of, for lack of a better term, kind of like Animal Crossing in a way. Whereas,
Yeah, yeah,
I say
it's kind
this
of like
never having played Animal Crossing.
yeah. Well, I think in Animal Crossing, I've not played it too much either. I've only got it on the Switch just recently. But yeah, in that it's all about like you kind of gather resources. I don't know how much. Yeah, there is crafting in Animal Crossing, isn't there? You can kind of like combine wood and stone, and you make like an axe and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's not too dissimilar to that. Yeah, definitely.
I think maybe Stardew Valley might be a more apt comparison.
Or something like Don't Starve as well, right? Because
Yeah.
it's got you can craft things in that really simple little recipes. You gather sticks and you gather stones, and you build stuff with that. So it's kind of the same as that, but it's across the sky, right, across a grand scale as you move between these islands.
Yeah. It looks very chill.
Oh yeah. Chill's the vibe, man. That's what we're aiming for. There's no, you don't die. You don't. There's no combat. There's nothing really that can kind of. The only thing that it's about time management more than anything, right? It's about like how do you be clever about where you go and the resources that you pick up. Maybe you pick a smarter route so that you can hit a few islands at the same time and then come back with the resources that you need. But other than that, yeah, it's about being relaxed and just enjoying the atmosphere and the music and the characters and the little stories and stuff. So yeah, very, very chill, very chill.
Sounds a lot like as they took my favorite part from Wind Waker, which was sailing.
Man, me too.
And just made that a game.
That was in my original, when I had like the first design doc, it was really light, but I had Wind Waker as one of the first references, like the Wind Waker sailing. That was because I'm that guy as well, man. I love the sailing. It's the best.
Yeah, I mean, it was the most visually stunning part of the game, and it was just relaxing. I guess that's it's a great segue into my next question, which apparently your dog is not too keen on, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Which is, what are some of the inspirations behind Cloud Jumper?
Yeah. So I think there's a bunch of different inspirations. So I think the Wind Waker sailing for sure, like that's genuinely one that is a big one. I think aesthetically, I really like I love the aesthetic of games like Hyper Light Drifter. Just the kind of the feel of those worlds. That game's a lot darker, but I love the I don't know, the kind of texture of that world and the kind of the feel of the visuals and the music. There's a lot of kind of style there that I think is really appropriate. I think games like Animal Crossing are a great shout as well. Just things that are really kind of about taking your time and just about kind of collecting things and being absorbed in the world. Nothing too strenuous. On that note, A Short Hike. I said that at the beginning. That's a great game, and that was a massive inspiration as well. All the way through to games like Abzu and Journey, that are more about they're much more on the experiential side, but I think they still have that element of kind of just being immersed in a world and kind of enjoying the experience of just being there and navigating and the sounds and the visuals, and it's a very sort of kind of emotional experiential thing as opposed to like try to fight things or lots of complex action. It's just very sort of calming and relaxing. So yeah, I think there's a bunch of sort of games like that that are big inspirations.
Nice. It definitely shows through to an extent in the visuals for the game, and the brief little gameplay teaser you put together back for the actual day of Pitch Your Game, which if you guys haven't seen, you got to go track him down on Twitter. So we'll talk about that later. But it's an excellent little video that definitely seemed what's the word I'm looking for here? The world was a lot more, and I mean this very literally, layered than I was expecting. I was kind of expecting this idea of, even being in the sky, everything being this flat plane, but you
Mhm.
do appear to have this, these different levels. Not all of the islands are on the same tier. Like up at the
Mhm.
top of the clouds, there's like a few that are down here and over there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, definitely. It's interesting you pick up on that. When I first started the prototype, so when I first started the prototype, it was actually going to be set on water. That was going to be the original game. Again, I guess coming from the Wind Waker side of things, right? And so you were locked to the Z, right? It was just X and Y. You would move around on. Um, and then there was actually a because I'm not very good at programming, right? I use like Playmaker and I kind of hook things together, like that.
You
There
know,
was a bug where the thing would just start flying off, and then I was like, hey, why don't I just set this in the sky? That would be really cool. You could navigate upwards, and it kind of opened up this whole new thing of like, hey, let's just free it. Like the game started to come together at that point when I realized that it's about freedom, it's about being open, and it's about moving, and the sky just became this like perfect backdrop to allow that freedom of movement. And yeah.
it's pretty amazing how so many accidents can lead to fun and interesting design changes in
Mhm.
projects.
Yeah.
Like the last game I finished was for Global Game Jam 2015. Yeah,
Okay.
it's been a while. And it the whole game kind of came about because I had built this set of modular pieces, and
Mhm.
I was trying to figure out how to light a scene using all emissive textures, which at the time was not actually baked into Unreal. But I had
Yeah.
accidentally then created these like Tron hallways, and I
Okay.
was like, well, why not have like a Tron maze game?
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, it's a little visual accident that turned into like this silly, fun little accent.
Yeah. That's the best part of game prototyping, right? It's like it's being like open to those things, and listening to it and figuring out where the fun bits are, and just trying to find that.
Yeah.
I was really inspired by there was a talk, I can't remember the guy's name, but he made a game called Duskers. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it was a game where you control these drones as they like navigate into spaceships, right, to like salvage things. And it's incredibly immersive because it's all done through kind of keyboard controls. You're the drone operator, right? So you just see the drones as like these little pips, and you kind of type commands in through like command line interface and stuff. It's a really cool game, but he did a great talk at GDC where like how he came to that design was he said it was about listening to the game, and he didn't have too much stuff kind of laid out up front of like this is what I'm going to build. He just sort of kind of he had an idea of like where he wanted to go more from an emotional perspective, and he just kind of let the game lead him down this path of like, well, what's fun, what's not, and what should the game be. And it really helped him define these themes, which were just so structurally sound that everything else in the game felt just so cohesive because it was all based off of these themes.
Yeah.
um, and so I love that. I love that development style. For like someone who's just doing it, in their own time, it really lets you kind of just focus on like, well, what's fun right now, and what am I enjoying building and what am I enjoying playing, and let's just kind of like go in that direction and see what happens.
Yeah. It's something that'll, I feel a lot of people outside of development aren't as aware of as we would like them to be, which is that uh, when a game is being built, it has to be fun as in a gray box before you start making all the pretty art for it. Because if it's not fun, nobody's going to play it. It's games are this entirely different and new kind of media that, unlike say a book or a movie, uh, if your primary means of interaction with it isn't enjoyable, then people aren't gonna continue it, as opposed to like a movie where, you know, maybe it's shot horribly but the script is really good or the acting's really good. You'll continue through with it. Or a book, you might not necessarily like the way it's written or the plot, but if another portion of that experience kind of makes up for that, you're more willing to complete it. But if your moment to moment interaction is just frustrating or not enjoyable, no script, no voice acting, no amount of high fidelity visuals is going to convince people to keep playing.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, it's
and
just so intrinsic to the game, right? That like you can't get over if it feels bad. There's just something in your way, you know, that's stopping you from really getting into it.
yeah, I mean, it's so intrinsic that it's even in the name. You know, I mean, we didn't create a new title for for this type of art. We
Mm.
took the basically what people were trying to adapt, a game, and we tacked video onto it because it was a video game.
Yeah. Mm.
You know, and it, you know, as Kunia Labs in chat is saying right now, it is a core of the art form. Uh, and yeah, I mean, it's like, how many times have we sat down and looked at a game and went, oh man, I really like that experience, looks so great, and I really want to play it. And then we pick it up and it feels like crap.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. It's frustrating, right?
you know, like a big one for me was Aliens Colonial Marines. Like, I wanted that game to
Okay.
be so good because it's, you know, that is a game I want to play. You
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
I'd seen the videos and all this, and I was all just so ready for it. And then the day it came out, I don't think I have been as disappointed in a game release as I was in that moment.
Yeah, I've actually not played it, but I've heard about it. It's
Don't.
not the yeah. Yeah.
If it is
You're not
free,
recommending it highly.
yeah, if that game is free, they are still charging too much.
Right, right. I need paid to play it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I paid a full retail $60 for that game, so you don't have to. Oh
Taking a
man.
bullet for it.
But I mean, without having played the game, I can't say that it's fun, but it sure looks it. Definitely more so than Colonial Marines.
Yeah,
But
sure. Well, you know what? I'll go play that, and I'll use that as my benchmark.
yeah,
And I just,
it's,
as long as Cloud Jumper's better than that, then I'm fine.
you know, I haven't reviewed a video game for the show, but if you want to like send me that, I will guarantee you that my line for your review will be, it's more fun than Colonial Marines.
Deal, man. Yeah, deal.
Yeah, Creative Labs adds a good point where it's at least adults will give you some time. Kids would chuck your game out in seconds if fun was missing. And,
Yeah.
you know, I think I disagree with that. At least speaking for myself. If your game isn't fun in the first 5 minutes, it's gone. I don't have enough time as an adult to give a game that isn't immediately fun any more time. You know, you always hear people, you know, like with TV shows and books and movies, like, you know, hey, it's really good, but it doesn't really find its stride until point X. And you know, with TVs and books and movies, you know, like I will give it that benefit of a doubt, because I don't know, in my mind I have just drawn some false line in the sand that is okay to cross for that medium. But with a game, it's just, you know, but I mean, I have seen kids sit down and play terrible games for hours.
Yeah, they find fun in the weirdest of places, right?
Yeah, they do. You know, my oldest nephew was playing the Transformers Prime game for the Wii, which was god awful. And
Right.
he loved it, you know, because he was getting a chance to play Transformers. you know?
Yeah, that's cool. You get to be Optimus Prime. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then he got mad at me because we were playing the multiplayer and he refused to teach me how to play the game. Because he was a kid and he just wanted to win.
Yeah,
And I was an adult and a professional video game tester at the time. So I very quickly learned how to play the game. And then he stopped winning and he accused me of cheating.
Yeah, that is cheating though. I mean, like,
What?
being a professional game tester, that's the...
It's not cheating if I'm just pressing buttons to find out what they do. You know, I just have to.
Kid it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, he has full access to the same set of buttons that I do.
Yeah, no prisoners, man. That's
It wasn't like I was, like he was playing on some controller that didn't have a proper D-pad and I broke out a fight stick and like Super Street Fighter.
Yeah, that'd be pretty funny though. That's taken seriously.
Yeah. Look, man, there's only one fighting game I take seriously, and that is Killer Instinct. And you best believe I have a fight stick for Killer Instinct. Only game. Only game. Every other game, don't care.
Yeah.
That's
I've never really been into fighters myself, man. It's more like Mario Kart. Take no prisoners on Mario Kart.
Oh, hell no.
Old people, I don't care. It's 100%.
No, Mario Kart is for real.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Every time. Like, there's a handful of games that you never dial in. Mario Kart, GoldenEye.
Oh, yeah.
What else would
Smash
I never?
Brothers.
For me, I don't care. Smash isn't for me.
Okay.
Nah. But GoldenEye and Mario Kart, you never mess around with those games. Those games are serious every time. It's kind of like Monopoly. It's like friendships are broken over that game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it starts off lighthearted and friendly, and then very quickly descends into, anarchy.
Yeah, it's all fun and games until somebody breaks out a blue shell.
Yeah.
Which is the sad and wonderful truth of Mario Kart. And then, of course, you always have those people, the 200cc purists, and I'm like, 200cc, you have to unlock that. 150, that's pure Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Please do share.
Yeah, I've not played it in a while, man. So I think the last Mario Kart I played only went up to 150. That was the max.
What was the last one? Was Mario Kart 8. I didn't pick up the deluxe version for the Switch.
Right.
But yeah, let's see. I'm pretty sure I've played every Mario Kart except the arcade one. Yeah, no, I love me some Mario Kart. Because I mean, it was one of those games as a kid born in the early 80s, when it came out for Super Nintendo and video rental stores were still a thing, that I rented so frequently that it just became cheaper for my parents to buy it for me.
Yeah.
Which is funny for them because I told them right off, like, you should just get this for me. But
they said no.
Yeah,
so you
I was
just
trying to save them a buck.
Yeah, that's clever, man. That's thinking.
It was probably more an accident as opposed to a direct plan.
Yeah.
But it is, that is a game that is immediately fun. I mean, that game would be fun even without Mario and Luigi and all of the Mario folks. That is a game that would be fun if you were literally just cubes driving around a track.
Yeah, cube car. Yeah, I like that.
Note to self: video game where you're boxes trying to move through a silly little like conveyor belt UPS sorting facility. Don't take that. Yeah. That's mine. I used a special new camera angle for it too.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I want to cut that. I was part of that idea. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You can fight with Unreal over their 5% cut.
Yeah.
So good luck with that one. What was I just thinking a moment ago before we got caught on that little bit? Yeah, boxes. I don't know. thought lost to the ether. Comment in chat. Please do share any art if you have of your Tron game. Am inspired by that genre look. Creative Labs, I will find a way to post that itch.io link. Or Fictional Cat, you're a mod. I'm putting you to work. Find me on itch.io. The game is called Daedalus. Throw that link up in the Twitch chat. I love mods. I don't have to pay them.
No.
They get that funny, cute little sword thing, and like, oh, they're so happy. Yeah. No, Fictional Cat, good people. Yeah, consider it done. Wow, look at that. That is, one of my other mods, this guy named Brian. He always fights. He's always like, why are you making me do things? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, it's in your job description, But for anybody who is just joining us, I'm sitting here with Mr. Where did I put your name? Rob Madden. Talking about his game Cloud Jumper from last month's #PitchYourGame, which he won the most viral game. And, FYI, online gaming convention, New York City, August 10th. Please check out. Oh, all right. I'll see what I can do. Maybe I can parlay this show into some form of like cross-promotional thing.
That'd be cool.
My super giant show that is totally a force on the internet. And thank you, Fictional Cat, for that. I spent way too much time around English people as a child. I've picked up an amazingly self-deprecating sense of humor.
Yeah, it's good fun, right?
Oh, yeah. But I'm trying to think. The only other real big question I have, because we've covered everything so far, is, since Pitch Your Game last month, how has the popularity of Cloud Jumper has that had any effect on your development or anything like that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, massively so, man. Yeah. Excuse me. Like, credit to the guys that have been running that. Liam and yeah, it's been amazing. So I mean, like the Twitter page has exploded. And I think I gained like 1,000 followers in like 48 hours. It was something crazy, right? It was like the growth of people that were looking at it was mental. And so yeah, loads of people talking about it and retweeting and liking it, which is just great. I mean, like that's just great to see because it kind of it reminds you why you do it. Because people are liking it and are saying this looks great and when's it come out and I can't wait to play it. So yeah, that feels really, really good. But yeah, I mean the really positive thing, excuse me, is that we have had some publishers get in touch since, who've said that they've seen the game and they're really excited to talk about it and and talk about where we want to take it and what our development plans are for it. So yeah, it's already opened up some doors for us for sure. So yeah, just really excited to see where those conversations go in the future.
Nice.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be able to share more information about that soon. But yeah, it's been great. It's been really good.
I'm not gonna lie, I'd heard about that, which might be why I asked the question. Shh. But yeah, Liam Toos, the guy who started Pitch Your Game, has just been super happy for everybody who's gotten that bonus attention. I mean, quite literally, it's exactly why he started it.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's always nice to hear when you have those successes about it, and even necessarily like very clearly not every game is going to be able to garner the same amount of attention as every other game because people are going to look at things differently than each other. It's just from our brief conversation, I know that the two of us are very likely looking for completely different things in every video game we play, just like everybody out in the audience and everybody out in the world, And so it's really interesting too, because one of the things is sometimes people will get a little disheartened by seeing different games getting massive amounts of attention. Like, I mean, at the time that I wrote the script for the award show, you'd gotten somewhere in the neighborhood of like 1,500 likes, which is it's bigger than any tweet I've ever sent out, you know. And
Me
you
too.
know, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's amazing, you know, but at the same time, it's not necessarily the quantity of the eyes that you get on your project, but the quality of the individual sets. You know,
Yeah, true.
you know, your game could very easily have pulled, you know, a percentage of the likes and the retweets that it did. But
Mhm.
if those same eyes that are talking to you now were the ones that still saw it, that's what ultimately matters. That
Yeah,
whole like
definitely, definitely.
it's not what you know, it's who you know kind of thing.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah, it's about understanding, who your market is, and who is enjoying that game, that type of game, and just trying to understand what they're looking for and how you talk to them and reach them. That's the really important part. And yeah, like you say, it's not about the amount. It's about just getting that person who sees it and thinks, yeah, I know exactly what they're wanting to do with that, and I can help them get there.
yeah.
Um,
Huh. Nice. Sorry, just reading the latest comment from Cornelia Labs, and Play NYC is supporting a lot of developers who don't look like me outside of VR, which is always great. So thank you, the PlayNYC.com event, because it's a conversation I've had multiple times on the show, and it's, you know, having a more diverse roster of developers is going to bring all sorts of new stories and game types that we, you know, probably never would have thought of. You know, diversity is awesome, as I say this talking to another white man, but we're acknowledging it, and that's
yeah,
a good step.
100%, man. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's but
That's what's so good about indie dev platforms. I think is that there's so much space for that. Right? It's not the barriers for entry for things like, at least on the tools side, are so anyone can grab a game engine now, right? And or more or less, if you've got access to computer and stuff, you can get these tools and platforms like like Twitter and pitch a game and stuff like that. It's just so much easier now to kind of get content out. So hopefully,
yeah.
all sorts of different people can get access to that stuff, which is great. Like you say, just help, new stories and new perspectives on things that you would never have thought of before.
Yeah, pretty much, man. Well, everybody in the audience, does anybody have any questions for Rob here? Because unfortunately, I've run out of material. You know, when some interviews are easier to prepare for, some are harder. And I'm not going to say that your interview was particularly difficult, but it was, you know, like a fairly straightforward conversation. So, but we'll just throw that up to me being a fairly inexperienced interviewer. And very clearly, it was all my fault, especially
Yeah,
as
I'll
we
bet.
had the miscommunication of when we were actually supposed to start.
That's fine, man. I don't envy you guys over in the States. I mean, at least everyone in my country is on like the same time zone.
Yeah,
Like with you, it's like even within the continent, you've got different zones. So I don't know how you do it day to day.
I mean, we have 4 in the continuous 48, and then including Alaska, that's another 1. And I can't remember if
Right.
Hawaii is in the same time zone as Alaska. So, I mean, yeah. And,
Yeah.
but then you also have like countries like Canada, which are split among, you know, like a straight 5 across
Mhm.
across their continuous space. Because I mean, we all forget that Quebec and Newfoundland really stretches out into the Atlantic.
Yeah.
It's just kind of nuts. You know, like a friend of mine was working in Nova Scotia for a while, and I was talking with her. I was like, "Oh, cool. So we're in the same time zone now." I was living in the East Coast, and she's like, "No, I'm in Atlantic time." And I'm like, "I think you're making that up." You know, but sure enough, it was a legit time zone.
Yes. Yeah.
So, well, since we don't have any questions in chat, that means it's time for the 5 questions.
That sounds
So,
ominous.
Oh, it is ominous. For everybody in the audience who might not know, and for you, since apparently this is your first hearing about this, the 5 questions are a series of questions which I am going to ask, which have really nothing to do with everything we've talked about up until this point. They are a series of questions that I have written up entirely for the purposes of fun and secretly judging you.
Okay.
Now,
so the answers really matter.
oh yeah, super matter.
Yeah, cool.
Now, it seems, or at least I'm imagining, that through the process of creating Cloud Jumper, you have become an expert on airships.
Definitely.
Which means that all of my questions are going to be about clouds.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be able to answer them all. 100%.
Yeah, hopefully. They were all pulled from, I'm not going to name the specific search engine, but it might rhyme with Sing. And may have been titled Facts for Kids. So, chances are pretty good. So, question number 1.
Yeah.
Clouds are mostly made of which common compound?
I'm going to say water.
And you would be correct. 1 point. 1 point so far. The top score right now, as it stands, is 4.3 points. It's held by Nick Decker from yesterday's episode on Polter Pals. So that is 4.3. He got, well, I mean, it's 4.3 repeating, but you know, it's just easier just to say 4.3. He got a bonus point for doing something funny. And then he got the 0.3 for getting 1 part correct in a 3-part question.
Okay, cool.
So, question number 2. How fast can clouds travel?
Oh, wow. Like a top speed. Okay,
you know,
I'm going to say
I'll accept a range.
And will you accept it in miles per hour?
Yeah, I'll accept that. I also have it calculated out in kilometers per hour as well.
Okay. I'm going to say between 100 and 160 miles per hour.
That is more specific than I was looking for, but you definitely get the point. Clouds can travel in speeds in excess of 100 miles per hour, or for the metric folks out there, 160 kilometers per hour.
Okay, cool.
So far,
nice.
2 for 2.
I told you I knew all about clouds.
Wow.
This game.
Man, I'm sorry I doubted you. Question number 3. Can clouds be made of different compounds other than water?
Ooh. Yeah, I'm going to say yeah.
And you would be correct. Now, that was kind of the meant to trip you up question, because on Earth, they're generally always made of water. But on other celestial bodies within our solar system, take the Saturnian moon of Titan, for example, where the clouds tend to be made of benzene ice.
Wow, okay. There you
go. Yeah, and then, of course, you have like the pure hydrogen clouds and whatnot on Jupiter and Saturn themselves.
And like nitrogen and stuff.
Right? Yeah, all that stuff. And like the sulfuric acid clouds and Venus and, you know, all that. Now, if they ever discovered clouds...
Hey.
Wow. Wow, I did not know your dog was so against clouds.
Yeah, he seems to be taking issue with these questions.
I imagine imagine the dog is upset because none of them are why aren't you feeding the dog, and you know, things like that.
Why aren't you looking at me?
Yeah, very clearly. So you now have 3 points. You are within throwing distance of the record.
Don't say that, man. I'll mess it up.
Perfect. Oh, and that's why I say those things. So, question number 4. What are the 3 main types of clouds?
Okay. Cirrus, cumulus, and stratus.
Holy crap, you weren't kidding.
Yeah, that's right. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, that is a full point. He's at 4.
Yeah, cool, man. Yeah.
He's at 4. He's at like a no bonus points 4 here. This is unheard of. Okay. And Fictional Cat, why don't we make that plant a cactus with like 3 prongs, like kind of like how the Olympic podium has 3 different levels, and then we can put the names of the current record holders on the cactus.
I'm up for that.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
I want to be top of that cactus, man.
I'm gonna have to start coming up with questions with bonus points now. So, question number 5, last question. Which of the 3 main types of clouds are responsible for fog?
Ooh, for fog. Stratus?
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
You were the first person to get all 5 questions correct.
Oh, nice.
I wish I had like a
Cloud
special
power.
button for like an effect. Like I feel like I was unprepared. Holy crap. Like,
Nice one.
what? Why do you know all this?
It's yeah. I had a look at some cloud facts before while I was building the game. Stuff like this comes in handy, man. Because you can design elements to do with it based on, because I wanted to have like the cloud layers. When you spawn in the game, it tells you like what layer you're on. Yeah, I had to look at some cloud facts for that.
Like, dude, I know some weird stuff, but I am just no. You know what, Fictional Cat? He doesn't get a bonus for getting all of them correct. His bonus is that his score doesn't get an asterisk. His
it's legit 5 points.
Yeah, Nick's score was 4.3 repeating with an asterisk because he got the bonus point. Yours is just straight 5.
Thanks, man. I'm glad my useless facts came in handy one day.
Oh, hey, and you remember how I warned you earlier about there being a dab in your future?
Yeah, you did mention that. Yeah.
Well, your future is now. Okay.
Is that right? Right now? Yeah.
Yeah, that is. Well, here's what we're gonna do. I am going to cut to this fancy new camera angle, and I'm going to do my dab. Boop.
Oh, okay.
So we got my dab, and now we've cut to your fancy camera angle, which is a close up of you, and in your own time, feel free to dab.
Okay.
Awesome. We have now done, like, this has accidentally become like the thing of the show is the dab.
No.
When I was finally going through and actually setting up like all of the affiliate perks, like points and everything, it was all like, hey, come up with like things to do with your points. And one of the things was make me dab. And I was like, yeah, sure, this sounds stupid. And, I did it. And then we had it in the show for like a day. And it was brought to my attention that maybe the guest should dab. And so I added that in, but I made that more expensive, because like I feel that it's kind of my job as the robot host to embarrass myself. I feel that it's not necessarily your job to do the same. So I feel, so I figured making it a little bit more expensive would make it less likely to happen. But Fictional Cat has like stored up like 8 billion points. So it's going to happen to everybody.
Yeah, that's fine, man. That's okay. I don't mind. I don't mind looking stupid.
A true Scotsman. Well, this has been really fun, Rob.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed this. Yeah, thanks very much.
4.3k points after that. Okay, we'll work on that. I'll come up with something else to get rid of those points. But before we close things out, where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, so just my Twitter page is the best place if you want Cloud Jumper information. So that's at Laughing Lad. So LAFFINGLAD. Just give me a follow there. You'll get regular development updates about how the game's doing. I'll be posting GIFs and screens and all sorts of fun stuff. So
awesome.
Yeah, that's the best place to keep up.
Cool. Well, once again, thank you so much for being here. Congratulations for the most viral win. And of course, congratulations. all of the, bonus success that's come from that. Whenever you're able to like talk about those things, or, like have like a solid launch frame or something like that, hit me up with a message. We'll see what we can do. Get you back on here. Maybe I'll have
That'd
like
be great.
a slightly cooler set and I'll have moved out of my garage. Uh,
Yeah. Maybe you'll have that cactus, man. I'll be
Maybe I'll have that cactus. Yeah, Fictional Cat, I'll be talking to you about that after the show. But yeah, so until next time, yeah. Oh, hey, Fictional Cat, on point with that link, dude. Best mod I have, and I'm telling Brian he's gonna have to like step up his game. So yeah, well, so once again, thank you. Now is the time, though, unfortunately, where I make the show all about me again, and I switch to my fancy new camera angle, and I hope that I have everything lined up because I didn't bother to put a recording light on it. So thank you all for joining us today on That Thom Clancy Show. This is just a quick reminder that I'm still looking for names for the duck. I will be accepting names, we'll say, through Thursday night my time, and then we're gonna be holding some form of vote on Friday. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it. As for the rest of the week, we have Melbit's Pod tomorrow at 11 a.m., Eloquence on Thursday at 10:30 a.m., and then Game Director Story at 7 p.m. On Friday. All of these times are Eastern Daylight Time because I'm in America, and that's how we base all of our time, even if it's not my personal time zone. Duckus. Okay. Duckus will be added to the list. Thank you, Liam. Other than that, everybody, thank you all so very much for joining us. As always, it's super fun to do this show for you guys, especially when I have great guests who talk about great and cool things. So have a wonderful day, everyone, and I'll see you next time on That Thom Clancy Show.